Hi, I'm Old Norse Specialist Dr. Jackson Crawford. In this video, I want to address two different questions from Patreon supporters from two different threads on Patreon that I thought went together pretty well. Auburn asked me about anything I cared to share unprovable speculation about. Well, that's always fun. But in conjunction with that, David B. separately asked me about the meaning of secret for the word rune. And I think that these two things can join together into one video about a big speculation of mine about the origin of runes. Now, the nature of things is, if you're seeing this video, you have somehow probably seen 15 videos in which I've discussed my personal speculation about the origin of runes. But if you're someone who's fascinated by the question of the origin of runes, you will probably somehow never be served one of those videos by the YouTube algorithm. That's just how it works. But I have a long-standing speculation since 2017 or something that probably the alphabet was transmitted to Germanic-speaking people by a Celtic-speaking people. I think that's very likely to have been Lepontic speakers, although not necessarily Lepontic speakers. See a interview that I did with Professor David Stifter about Lepontic and Cisalpine Celtic more broadly. I think that very likely the word rune is in fact a direct borrowing of the Celtic word that means secret. This is, for example, rune in Old Irish. It was probably runa with a long ah at the end in Gaulish, and likewise in Lepontic and other continental Celtic languages. That runa in a reconstructed for Gaulish or Lepontic would be the exact source you would expect to be borrowed into Proto-Germanic as runo, because long A's get borrowed as long O's. That long O makes it a strong feminine noun, which then that long O becomes an A in Gothic, runa, and then rune in Old Norse, etc. And it's still feminine, so we know that the long O used to be there. That was a marker of strong feminine in Proto-Germanic. So it lines up pretty well. I think that the meaning of secret makes a lot of sense when you consider that in a society that is mostly not literate, what you write is a secret you share with other people who can read. And I think that one of the most compelling but most speculative things about this origin for the runic alphabet is that they borrowed an alphabet from a Celtic people that was complete, but the Celtic people they borrowed it from transmitting a complete Greek-derived alphabet of more than 20 letters, that Celtic-speaking people didn't use all those letters. So I think that they transmit them, the whole alpha, beta, gamma, etc., all the way out to omega. And the Celtic-speaking people have, they transmit letters like phi and copa that they don't use to write their own language. And someone, probably in a real stroke of genius, speaking this early Germanic language says, well, we have these extra letters we don't use, and we have extra sounds that we don't have letters for. In particular, W and then the th. And I think, I think then that they ignore what copa and phi mean in a Greek or Greek-derived alphabet, and then use those letters for sounds that they need. They use copa for W and phi for thorn and psi for Z. And then later that copa and phi lose one of their lobes, although not in all early Elder Futhark inscriptions. You see it in Illirup Oldal finds. So I think, speculation, I can't prove this, I'm not sure what would prove it, that Copa, Phi, and Psi are parts of the Greek-derived alphabet used by a Celtic-speaking people that is borrowed to make the Elder Futhark alphabet of runes, and that those letters not being used to write either that Celtic language or that Germanic language get repurposed to write completely different sounds. And that's part of what makes it so hard to trace the origin of the runes, is that there are letters being used in completely different ways than their source alphabet. And there is precedent for that. Of course, the Greeks, when they borrowed the Phoenician abjad, took consonant sounds, consonant letters they didn't need, and turned them into vowels. In the same way, Lepontic took a letter san that meant an S sound and repurposed it for a D or the sound, which is exactly how that shows up in runes too. It becomes the Dagas rune for D or the, and I think that's an excellent case for Celtic origin of this alphabet, specifically, potentially, very likely a Lepontic origin for this alphabet. Hey folks, we'll be back to your regular presentation in a moment, but for right now, I'm here at Grimfrost World Headquarters Longhouse with Johan Hegg, and I just want to remind you that if you have Viking needs, you have a Viking supplier. Grimfrost really cares about getting things right, and if you need replica, well, anything, right? Shields, helmets, weapons, board games, cool t-shirts, hats, all sorts of accessories like that. You can get them at grimfrost.com together with my books, and they ship just about anywhere in the world. So check them out. It does help support the channel. So that's some big speculation. I have other things I've speculated about on this channel. For example, perhaps Heimdallr and Ullr are the same god. I've mentioned that in a couple of videos. Perhaps Odin and Loki were brothers in some traditions. I have a whole video about that. So there's some other stuff dealing with my speculations and other subjects out there. But I appreciate you folks on Patreon, obviously contributing to keeping this channel going, keeping me going, and posing your questions. Appreciate you folks out there checking out the second edition of my Poetic Edda translation. Makes a great gift this holiday season for people who are interested in this stuff. It's a beautiful book, especially the hardcover. And you can order signed copies in the USA, Canada, and Australia from Boulder Bookstore. It's also a merch shop. You can also get stuff from Grimfrost that helps the channel. Tell them you came from here. Well, for now, from beautiful Wyoming, thank you folks, and I'm wishing you all the best.